Welcome back to Smart Life. I am, of course, your host, Dr. Gina. Just a reminder, you can watch us live in cities around the country on Biz TV, growing all the time. Now on the air in New York, Philadelphia, and Orlando. Now also in Los Angeles, where I spend way too much of my time. Biz TV, it's your biz. And of course, you can view past episodes of Smart Life at moneybizlife.com. Now, you've seen the videos of people doing the ice bucket challenge all over TV and social media, and I was poised at the bottom of a balcony outside for someone to pour an ice bucket on my head when Kevin McCullough texted me and said, do you know where all that money is going that is being raised for ALS research? So he's here with us. He followed that money trail, and he's not so happy about what he found. Kevin, welcome to Smart Life. Good to have you.
Hey, Dr. Gina, good to be with you. And a fellow Biz TV broadcast, Stephen Baldwin and I, Saturday nights on many of these same affiliates. So we enjoy the good relationship with this great network. And thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Kevin, you're honestly, you're one of my just favorite peeps out there. You're super cool. You're super fun to be with. And so for you to write an article that was this hard hitting, you had to get a lot of pushback. Tell us first, the article says straight up, I'll show it to the viewers. It says the ALS challenge kills babies. That's a big, bold statement. Talk to us.
It is, and when I published the piece, it got a lot of reaction from people saying while the facts may all be true, they felt like it was a little bit of sensationalized headline. And I have to say, having been an op-ed writer for about 15 years now, you've got to cut through the noise. And the truth is, when you're dealing with something as tricky as embryonic stem cells, if ALS isn't letting people know what the money's going towards, I think that the general public has a right to understand how this process works. So that's what I wanted to try to expose and try to show, and I hopefully did that with a fact-driven way, even if people disagreed with the headline.
I am so glad that you did it because, like I said, I was just standing there literally getting ready to do it when I got your text, and I thought, whoa. Because I'll tell you what I know about this, but I want to hear first what you discovered when you went into where the money actually goes and why that's a problem.
Well, okay, let's put it very simply. Last year, over this same time period, the ALSA had raised about $1.5 million. This year, they've raised close to $30.6 million. And most of it, the attributed success is this viral ice bucket challenge that has just people going nuts. President Bush did it. He challenged President Clinton. I mean, it is a far-reaching thing. Jimmy Fallon challenged Justin Timberlake, or the other way around, or something. But anyway, it's had a lot of public exposure. When you dig into how the ALS uses their money, they are looking, of course, for cures for these neurological degenerative diseases, of which ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, is one of them. But you've got Alzheimer's, you've got Parkinson's, you've got dementia, you've got a number of things that kind of cross that neurological degenerative spectrum, of which I have a grandmother who passed away from one of those diseases, and I have good friends that struggle with some of the other ones. So I'm not insensitive to the struggling that people have with this. But here's some basic facts. Embryonic stem cells have proven 0% effective in finding cures for neurological dysfunction. Adult stem cells have proven exceedingly effective in either mitigating pain or moving towards remission and removal of the disease from people. A lot of people don't know that. There's a big difference between embryonic stem cells and adult cells. Embryonic stem cells are not defined in a scientific term. They don't know what kind of cells they're supposed to be. Adult stem cells are, and scientists have been able to use that previous definition to help that cell understand what it needs to do. This is the most terrifying part of it, though, Gina, is that embryonic stem cells are created by the harvesting of an embryo and letting that embryo die so that they can take the stem cells from the base of the brain of the embryo.
Right.
There are no deaths associated with the harvesting of adult stem cells. It's a huge difference, and that's why I don't want to see children created so that then they're just sacrificed. I'm not living in a Keanu Reeves sci-fi movie. I want kids to be protected, and I want kids to live.
And you make such a great point with this, Kevin. And I want to tell you my little bit of information I have on this. As my husband's media person, really, while he was in the Senate, we were there at the birth of this whole push for embryonic stem cell. And they were very much trying to get my husband on board as a senior senator, whatever. So we go to this beautiful building. We're served this amazing lunch with these very important looking people. We're shown this video about how embryonic stem cell is going to solve all the problems in the world. As you said, there is zero, people need to understand this now, zero evidence that embryonic stem cells actually solve or cure any problems. There is a plethora, a huge body of evidence out there saying that adult stem cells, because they are directed, as you mentioned, actually are affected. So the question goes one step deeper, and this is where it gets really sickening. Why then do they persist with all of this data saying that the embryonic stem cells don't work? Why then do they persist? And I'll submit to you that the people sitting around that table with us that day are worth millions and millions, probably billions of dollars. They have a lot invested in this whole embryonic stem cell research movement. And if it goes away, that's not even talking about the scientists whose jobs are dependent on it, yada, yada, it goes on down the line. I'm just talking about these investors are so powerful, so tied into our body politic and this government that if the idea of embryonic stem cell is proven false and it goes away, a lot of money goes with it to a lot of very important people. That's the most sickening part of it. I don't know if the leaders of ALS know this or not, Kevin, but that's the sickening part, is it really is all about the money. They are exploiting the money of these people who want to donate. They think they're donating to ALS or Alzheimer's or the things that you mentioned, of which my family's severely afflicted, and I have almost no chance of not being ultimately afflicted. And yet, this really comes down to a bunch of very powerful, money-driven K Street types.
Yeah, that is entirely the case. And it's not just in this situation. Much cancer research has been going on for decades in which basic treatment with some very natural vitamins and other things have had great success in international studies. But the American Cancer Society here have not they've not embraced those things because there is so much money raised for cancer research. It's not uncommon to have the public welfare kind of put at bay so that someone can make a buck off research. But what I wanted to at least give people the chance to understand is that if you contribute to the ALS challenge, you are contributing to the creation of, the harvesting of, and the death of children expressly for fruitless experimentation. And I think that's a bad reason to create kids. I think that God, I happen to be a strong man of faith. I happen to think God creates children because he wants them to find their purpose and to fulfill that life here on earth. And I don't want to see one of them harmed through it.
Sadly, Kevin, they join the March of Dimes. They join, of course, the Komen Foundation for Breast Cancer. I don't buy the pink stuff because of what they do in their research. So people need to look closely at where their dollars are going. And I, for one, very much appreciate you being willing to take the heat and point out this very important story. It just didn't occur to me that ALS was doing it too. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Gina.
All right. And you can follow him, of course, at KMC Radio on Twitter and find his work at thebingethinker.com. I hate when I do that binge thinking. It's so upsetting to me. Don't forget, we love to hear from you. You can always go to the Smart Life page at moneybizlife.com. Click on the Ask Dr. Gina button to send us an email